Oh no! That was a really terrible impression of Gentle Art Lamb for anybody with ears. There was the MGM line there, Leo. And I think just for today will be the Legends of Cherrywood. And here's a fan commentary for the Care Bears movie. I now just realised, even though I would really class myself as a pretty big fan of this film, I don't know why I always thought it was called Care Bears the Movie, not the Care Bears movie. So you live and learn, right? I've always got two real overriding memories of this film. One is the original memory, I guess, which continuity-wise makes sense. But as loads of these commentaries always start off, I saw this at the Savoy, yada yada yada, and it's always got this really extra component to it though, because I didn't intentionally to go see this movie. I went to see The Last Starfighter. I don't know where I'd read in the paper or somebody told me that The Last Starfighter was going to be on. I don't know why when he's saying you and you to all the kids, I half expect him to look at the camera and say you. But yeah, I thought I was going to see Last Starfighter, and for some reason I'd either got the date wrong, or it had been on the day before, or been on the day after. It was on the next day, and actually, I think it must have been on the day before. And Care Bears the movie was on, and I remember thinking to myself that wow, how times have changed. That, like, say now, it literally has to be some incredible film. Not an incredible film to get me to the cinema, but more often than not now, like, I do go to the cinema a relative amount, but apart from when I went to see The Finest Hours, I usually think to myself, wow, I'm only going to see these really big films now, like Batman vs Superman or RoboCop or something, these like big tentpole movies or remakes and things like that. And years ago, and I guess when you were a kid, you quote unquote don't know any better, but like, I would go see anything. I would walk up to the cinema, whatever was on, if it was like a certificate low enough that I could go see it, I would go and watch it. And I didn't really think much of it, and so it's like with this, it was like, oh, Care Bears a movie. I was with two mates, and they, it was the 80s, nothing else better to do, so it was like, oh, should we go see the Care Bears movie? And we're like, yeah, okay. And so we went to see the Care Bears movie, and then I think I went to go see it again the next day, and I don't know why it's really sort of stuck with me as a really sort of quote unquote nice film. So Mickey Rooney is the voice of Mr. Cherrywood, and we'll get to Mickey Rooney in a second, because I've got another sort of memory associated with Mickey Rooney. But yeah, for some reason this film's always stuck with me, and there's like about 10 films that are sort of the Savoy there. I would really say a sort of, I read that Patricia Cullen, she died when she was 40, which is like, I was just looking at IMDb this morning. But yeah, so there's about 10 films that are sort of the Savoy that are literally like, I think part of the reason why I'm such a big movie fan, like they just had such an influence on me, or I've got such good memories of going to go see them, and like Krull's one, Soul Man's one, Ghostbusters is one, Staying Alive's one. Just those films that like they felt like really, Jaws the Revenge is another, where in the big scheme of things, probably films that a lot of people aren't that bothered about, or they weren't these super huge mega hits and stuff like that, but they were like first film I saw with my own money, or like I say, just this memory of going to see Care Bears when I should have been going to see Last Starfighter, and little, like I say, and I don't know why, I don't know, it says about my personality, but I've always loved stories that, obviously it's nice if they're these big grand stories and big sort of emotional sort of, or stories that have got like really great twists and turns, but I don't know why, I've always really liked really truthful, ordinary stories. Like, say, if somebody says to me, oh, they can remember going to the shop to get a computer game with they have like a couple of quid pocket money, and they had picked from a couple of like Mastertronic games, like low budget games or something, or Mastertronic was a label in the UK that released like budget software, or or if, like, say, when I went to see these films at the Savoy, I went to the Savoy and that's what was on and that's what I saw and things like that. So I've always got these memories of sort of, and like I say, can't really sometimes put it into words, but if somebody says to me, oh, they can remember listening to a CD or a CD single, and you know, certain tracks they would really love, or they would listen to them when they were like tidying up, or you know, things like that. And I don't know why. I just love those little memories because I know they're so heartfelt. And no pun intended. In what's funny, I was watching this earlier on. I completely forgot just how mind-blowingly brilliant these scenes are. That like just how Kim and Jason are like, whatever, and the Care Bear's like, yay, let's be friends. Come on, yay. It's like this complete polar opposite of, and I've got this thing, and it shows the more things change, the more they stay the same. Because I've seen a lot of programs recently where I think the tone is quite sort of schizophrenic and all over the place, and be like, well, a really good example is there's a magazine show that's on in the UK. It's been on for years, like since the 80s, funnily enough, called This Morning, and it can be about anything. You know, it's one of those shows that they have everywhere now, but. And it's probably ripped off from Good Morning America or something like that. But the music is like da, 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 like this really happy, jolly music, and then it cuts to like, you know, some really terrible, horrible thing, really depressing. It's like, and it always kind of really, even though it's been going for years, it's still always catching me off guard, because it's like you've got this, like say, this really jolly, upbeat music, and then like it just like completely pulls the rug from under you. And it kind of a bit like with this in a way. This is where the quote unquote rot set in, and I'm doing air quotes there. I'm being really facetious when I say that like I love them cloak cars, but like in the sense that like there though, like and the dialogue there. And this one thing I love about Care Bears is that it's got that character smoking. Oh my god, here we go again. Yeah, that like with Care Bears is. Because really, by right, if you break it down, and he said broke it down. If you break it down piece by piece, it should be the most cynical, kind of cliche, just sort of contrived thing that, like, you know, it's this product set up by like a greetings card company, and there are all these cute bears with all these really. Obvious, like, you know, care, share, you know, love each other, you know, sentiments, and like really like, because like now again there's a bit of a thing where, and every single time we walk past one, and I normally think, I can watch something like Care Bears the movie and really, you know, watch it like, I feel like completely uncynically, like, and sort of like now I think a lot of people might watch this, and especially you know some of these quotes again, I'm doing air quotes, and this is massive stereotype, and I don't really mean it, but like, oh look at Tender out there. But like, I think a lot of people could watch this now and be really like kind of, oh, it's, you know, saying about the animation, or, you know, sort of like really laughing at some of the dialogue, you know, and oh, that's really stupid. And even though I kind of was amused by the dialogue, it was just more the sort of the way that like again, you know, you really look at it in the cold light of day, you think, oh, it's this horrible, cynical, and if this was the way it was intended, or this is, you know, it could definitely come across this way. There's this huge company, and, you know, releasing these, like, you know, these characters that are so sickly sweet and sort of so cynical, and then, oh, you know, it could come across if you were cynical that like, oh my god, and then the way that like when them Care Bears first saw Kim and Jason were like, oh, we don't care about people, and then when the Care Bears said to him that, oh, we know about you, you won't be a nurse and you won't be like a jet pilot. Not only is that massively cliche, but like, but again, that's the thing where on the one hand you think, oh, you know, it's like how patronising is it, but it comes across as so net. But then the extra like icing on the cake is the fact that that's quite sweet in a way, that they say, oh, you won't be a jet pilot when you grow up, and down, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up, and that. And but on the one hand, if like some quote unquote alien creature appeared in front of you, told you your name and what you want to be, that's quite weird. But it comes across in this film as being really nice, and it is. But that's one thing I was going to get into, actually. Funny enough. Oh, actually, I'd say the Mickey Rooney story, and this is like, you don't know where it's gone kind of thing, and you learn the hard way. But this has happened 2 or 3 times now, because like I live in Staffordshire in the UK, and we don't really get. It's kind of improving for us. But yeah, it's kind of getting better. That kind of like, you know, loads of times if you see a tour date for a big band, or if somebody's on a show saying, I'm doing a theatre tour around the country, especially years ago, but even now, you can almost guarantee that they won't play Stoke or they won't play Staffordshire. They may still be like Crewe or something, or or Manchester or Birmingham if you're really lucky. But over the years, I've really missed out on a couple of really huge big gigs. Like Bill Hicks played Burslem in Stoke-on-Trent, Bon Jovi played the Britannia Stadium, Slash played the Vicky Hall in Hanley, and Mickey Rooney did a talk in Hanley, Stoke-on-Trent, and I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago now. And I don't know why, I've always got this sort of, and I don't know where it comes from, I don't know what it says about my personality, but that if like a big American celebrity comes over, and especially one that's so sort of professional and really articulate and just really mannered, and sort of, at the Osmonds are a good example of Dolly Parton. Like when they come over, and I'm always watching interviews like, cringing, or I have to turn over, where they're so professional and they're so polite, and they'll have these terrible interviews asking him like, "Oh, have you ever had bangers and mash, or do you watch Coronation Street?" And they because they've been so trained, or they've been in the business for so long, that like they'll be like, "Well, no, I haven't," or maybe, or something. And I'm like, and when Mickey Rooney was up Hanley, because of his role in Care Bears the movie, I mean, obviously he was been around for years, but I remember the thing that put me off getting tickets was, the best one in the world, and I love Staffordshire, and I love, proud of my hometown and everything, though it's ridiculous being proud of where you're born, because what a ridiculous thing to be proud of. But I just thought, oh my god, they're going to ask him, "Oh, have you ever had a rice pie, or have you ever had the Sentinel," or something like that, something really specific to the UK. And I didn't get tickets, and then it was like a year or two after he passed away. I was like, what was I thinking? He was old when he made Care Bears the movie. He was like, must have been touching 90 when he did this thing up Hanley, and I didn't go. And and now, like, I've got tickets for Todd Barry and things like that, and because he's doing his crowd work tour in like Manchester and stuff. And now I've sort of got in my mind that, like, if the opportunity is on my doorstep, or I've got the money, or I'm not to sort of pass it up, because it just seems like such a shame not to, kind of thing. What's because I've got a Word document open in one tab, and I'm just checking I'm recording. Yeah, but one thing as well though, and I really do think, and I mentioned this on the Inside Out commentary I did, and I'll get to that in a second, but one thing, and it probably, again talking about like how cynical this film could seem, or how the concept, if you really deconstruct it and you could do a thesis on it about, like, marketing in the 80s, and how the kids shows were all deregularized, and so there was a million of these properties where they were a film, they were a cartoon, they were a toy line, they were stickers, they were music and everything. But I think because there was this thing to, like, say, let's make a Care Bears movie. You had to write a story that went around these characters, and even though there was episodes of Care Bears, or there was animated stories before the movie, I've even got a DVD of the very first episode from 1983. So yeah, it was knocking around a couple of years before the film. But any time, a bit like Master of the Universe is another example. But when the property comes from like an image basically, or just a very simple concept, or Transformers is an actual perfect example, and I'll reference that directly in a second. But when the concept is something you can literally write like on a beer mat or something, or the back of an envelope, that you can say, robots that turn into vehicles, and then you've got to build a world around that, or like that, it's like bears that live in the clouds and care for people, and you've got to write a world around that. I think it's always going to be seemed a bit shoehorned in, because the concept is such a perfect idea, you can't help but want to build a world around it. But like I say, I'm sure that's all it came from. There was no more sort of. I don't think they sat there and said, "Well, let's freak kids out." But when I watched this as a kid, and you go, "Okay, they're in Care-a-Lot, and they go down to Earth, and then when the rainbow rescue beam breaks." I know a lot about Care Bears for a 40, nearly 2-year-old man, but like if you just watch this film, if you just put this on, even as an adult, but quote unquote, especially if you're a kid, I think you could just probably watch this and go, it's a nice little film, and it is, nice little film. But how abstract the concept is, how esoteric the concept is, and that's another thing as well. Watching this, because I watched it once this morning. I didn't really need to watch it, but you need an excuse to watch Care Bears movie, right? But I was finding myself thinking of words that like anachronistic was another word about Grumpy Bear, and I'll come to that again in a second. But yeah, the concept is so plain and straightforward that these extra layers built onto it, if you really sit down and think about it for even just a few seconds, how weird a concept is it that these bears live in the clouds? Which, okay, you just say you go with that, these bears live in the clouds, fine. They go down to Earth, and anybody who's sort of, feeling depressed or sad, they go down and say, "Hey, don't be sad," and all this kind of stuff. Fine, that's perfect. It's like that kind of Knight Rider A-Team, Lone Ranger, the good guys, rolling in a white horse or a white cloud car and save the day, like kind of thing. But then they've got this caring meter that, like, sort of, if people stop caring, it falls, and if it falls too much, like, Care-a-Lot gets destroyed, and then you go, okay. But then, like, just taking it to this complete other level, and it probably, like, say again, I don't mean this like in some kind of horrible, cynical way, because I think it's cool, but they probably just thought, oh, because the movie's coming out, we could do with some new characters, like in Transformers the movie. Like when it got to Transformers the movie, like I just thought as a kid, like when, spoilers, when like Optimus Prime dies, or when like loads of the Autobots get killed, and they wheel in literally a load of new characters, and you think, oh, as a kid, you're like, oh wow, that's like, wow, I never saw that coming. And even like, say, when I first started getting into film, you're like, oh, how brave was it, to kill off like Optimus Prime stuff. But then you kind of think, oh, well, all it was to sell more toys, which is fine. But that was an interesting idea in Transformers the movie, and it still makes a great story, it still makes a great movie. But in this, because the story is so, like I say, because it is so, not simplified, but because it is such a streamlined thing, that you've got the Care Bears that live in Care-a-Lot. It's not like they can just bottle around the corner and sort of, although that's what happens, they can't just go, oh, there's a load of new Care Bears we didn't know about. So they have to sort of, Kim and Jason accidentally get beamed up to Care-a-Lot, and then they sort of, stumble into like the Forest of Feelings by going down this like canal or whatever it is, and you're like, that is so strange a concept that, like, it's like saying like loads of sci-fi movies or loads of films generally that I feel like that say, if you don't think about it, you go, oh yeah, okay, whatever. It's like, again, Thomas the Tank Engine is another good example where I used to watch that as a kid, and you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, these engines that talk and drive around. And then when my little nephew, like he's about 8 now, but when he was about like 3 or 4, he was really into Thomas and was watching it all the time. And we got into a habit of going to see the new Thomas films at the cinema. And you watch him as an adult, and you're like saying, oh, this engine's been naughty, let's brick him up. And you're like, that engine's alive. And they'd be talking about like deconstructing him and like melting him down and stuff. And you're like, that's really, really strange. Like, and I've got a pretty like broad sense of humour, and like nothing really gets to me, so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, yeah, whatever, but like at the same time it's like, what? And like say, it's like with this, it's like this book that like say comes into this, and it's like it's going to destroy the world, and you see Care-a-Lot being destroyed and and it's one of those things again, sometimes stretching a point and things, but like I say again, I don't think I saw this at a relatively young age. I think I was like 12 when I saw it or something like that. But I wasn't a kid by any means, you know, like 3 or something. But there was something about watching this in a cinema, like in a huge dark room with like, I remember Peter Cullen saying about you never tell the animation, Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, saying that when you things with electronic amplification, it always changes it and things like that. But because the sound design in this film is so good, and because the voice of that book, I truly believe, especially there's a couple of monologues later on, that like, if you sort of sampled it, or put it in some kind of hardcore dance track record, or just like say literally took a recording of the book saying like, a message for the children, kill everybody, look what they did to you, you'll get them back, kind of thing. If you sampled that and said to somebody who've never seen this film before, what's this from? Pretty sure they wouldn't say it was Care Bears the movie. They'd be like, oh, some weird, like, 70s horror movie or something like that, or some old band classic or something. And especially so, I should say why it's on screen there. But again, watching this as an adult and just looking at it is like that, like these scenes of like Carol are just absolutely destroyed. Like again, they're not like it is what it is, but that's still the Calories dropped 2 whole points. I like it's a race against time movie. It's not just like when that drops either sound. It's like what? Yeah, but Grumpy Bear. Again, but like Gremlins, like I saw that at the Savoy, and again that's one of those films like where just cemented loads of stuff that are about from like Joe Dante, Dick Miller, and all these different people and stuff. But like, yeah, with Gremlins, that like when you read the novelization to that, and it said that like Gizmo was like an anomaly, that most Mogwai are actually kind of evil, and like Gizmo was a bit of a fluke, and it creates this whole other. Because he's meant to be from space and he's like an alien and that, so it creates this other weird dimension. You never thought of it before, and it's like what, like just like makes it so more layered and stuff. I kind of like prefer it with and without that backstory. I kind of like both ways of thinking at it. But I was thinking about, because I was in Toys R Us the other day and I walked past a Care Bear stand and Grumpy Bear was there, and I was thinking Grumpy Bear is such, again, one of those concepts where probably came from like just a purely, we need a character that like can play off all these Care Bears saying like, hey, yeah, whoa, and all this kind of stuff. We need something to sort of balance it out a little bit. So you've got a Care Bear that's like, yeah, whatever. And that's probably like, say, where I'm not taking any disrespect from the people that made this character or created this character. Because obviously work went into the character. But I'm sure that was the main basis for the character, was we need a cipher basically. So and it makes me think of like Stan Lee on a couple of points where sort of, it always seems to me Stan Lee would be like, oh, well, we thought about doing a character that was green and he was a Hulk. Here's the Hulk. But like, yeah, so sometimes like, you've got this real cool concept for a character and then it gets fleshed out later on and things like that. And it also made me think of like, say, sometimes like, say, Stan Lee he'd use a word that, say, people didn't know, but then what's the worst that can happen? You'll look it up and it's like, so even like a cipher, I didn't know what that meant until really recently. About it's like a character that sort of basically is only there to just move the plot along. But so yeah, we say Grumpy Bear, it is like one of those things though where it probably just come purely from that perspective of, we need a foil basically for the Care Bears. It's a bit weird, I don't know if that's the right word, but the more you look at it as a work of art or a creative piece, is that it makes the Care Bears seem so much more fascinating, because they never say where the Care Bears are from. They never say, oh, somebody rubs like a gem and they appear, or somebody like holds up like a 4-leaf clover or a gold cup, and that creates the Care Bear with that personality. So you've got no idea where they come from anyway, as a concept, which is brilliant in and of itself. But then the great thing about that is, like with Grumpy Bear, it's like what the heck happened where Grumpy Bear was a thing in the Care? If you take the Care Bear universe as like a thing, and you know you've obviously got you got some sort of you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit, even as like a kid or an adult. But if you just like take it as like this thing that's just out there in the world, at some point during the history of Care Bears, Grumpy Bear appeared, and it was like, again, what a mind-blowing concept for a kid, that like you've got all these Care Bears that are like, hey, we'll help and let's be friends and let's do stuff, and then you got Grumpy Bear who's like, yeah. And the fact that like it's just probably purely marketing, just probably purely just pulling in the opposite direction, because that's what you've got to with that character. The fact that he's dark blue, which is genius, we think, oh, he's blue, like literally. And whoever come up with this, like I think when I said it on one of the other commentaries for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a weird segue, whoever thought about putting the main bad guy in Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a tie on, it's genius. It's just a genius idea. But with Grumpy Bear, whoever came up with the idea of a rain cloud is just, that person deserves like Nobel Prize or something, because it's like or some writing award or something, because it's just one of those things that's like, oh wow, that is so sort of great. I talk about like the symbols on the chest and things like that though, and again could very well come from this movie. But for years and years, my favourite colour is green. I've even got on my glasses, I can actually first picture of the commentary. I've got green on my glasses. The bottom of my glasses is like green, that is green sort of sheen to and stuff like that. But again, talk about like Stanley and the Hulk. But my favourite Marvel character is the Hulk. My mind blanking though, I just said it. And I don't know if that's where my favourite colour of green comes from. I'm sure there's loads of other little things here and there, but I always think of the Hulk as one of the main reasons I love the colour green. It's always, and like I said, I was on a course about 2 or 3 years ago, and we had to write these things with markers and stuff, like these ice breaking exercises and stuff, when it's like, if you was doing a business, how would you run it? And there was these markers, and every time we had to do some of these exercises, I always picked the green marker. And somebody said, oh, who's noticed you picked the green marker? I was like, yeah, my favourite colour's green, and I've got a camera with the colour green on it. I had some Converse trainers that were green and stuff. So I think when like I started watching the Care Bears, and like, because there's so many Care Bears, and there's like hundreds of them, and there's like, oh, there's a few anyway. But most of them are like kind of reddy, orangey sort of colours. But instantly, the one that stood out to me was Good Luck Bear. So anytime I see like Good Luck Bear, and I've got actually one here that again it's picture time again. Oh, this is one of the best songs in the film. What's it called? Forest of Feelings, I think. But this song actually might be unique. So I think it might be the only song in the history of the word, funny as live, it might be the only song in the history of the world to feature the word hydroplaning. Leave in the comments below if I'm wrong. But so when I saw like this for probably the first time, or when I first started knowing what Care Bears were, I think because Good Luck Bears, I think one of the few green Care Bears, if not the only green Care Bear, or especially in the initial sort of wave, which is what I'm more familiar with, that like, I can't believe how, and literally no pun intended, how, what a stroke of luck that it was, that he's actually, like, what a cool Care Bear to have, like, as your favourite, that like, I don't know, who's your favourite? It's such a childish thing to say, and I guess when you watch the Care Bears, you'll be a little bit childish, right? But like that, like, because again, purely from a when you can step, when you're one removed from it, or as an adult, you can look at it with a slightly different light, But like, when you've come up with like, Funshine Bear, Wish Bear, Chia Bear, Sleepy Bear, Sleepy Bear, once you've gone through a certain amount, like, you're really going to be clutching at straws to sort of, shake hands Bear, all these different things. So, like, Good Luck Bear is like a completely happy accident that is my favourite. But talking about that though, actually, and I think I have seen it before, and for some reason I kind of forget, but because I didn't really have a dog or a cat when I was growing up, but when I was really little I had a puppy that that got quote unquote run over, and it's only more recently that I say more recently since about like 1999 that I've had cats. But I noticed one of the Care Bear cousins is a cat, a Proud Heart cat, according to the old interwebs. That was one thing as well, because I'm doing this off a DVD, but I've got the VHS, I've got the DVD, and it's on Netflix as well. And when I watched it this morning for do quote unquote research, I did it off the VHS, and I just took a picture at random, and then I thought, oh, it'd be interesting just take a picture of that scene off the DVD version. So I got the DVD, queued it up, and took a picture as close as I could get. And then I took another picture off the Netflix one from the exact same scene. And it might be good to try and do that later, to try and set up the camera as good as I can, and try and get one scene from each version and just put them as like a comparison thing. So, you can sort of, and the VHS one's still not bad. The Netflix and DVD ones are virtually identical, which I guess you would assume, right? I don't know if there's a Blu-ray. I have checked before, and I don't think there is. I guess the Netflix one should be HD, right? I think. And that's funny though as well. Talking about the different little collectibles I've got, but like I say, one thing a really good friend's mum brought for me, 25th anniversary Care Bear. It's sort of white with silver. He's got Swarovski crystal eyes and sterling silver accents, whatever that means. And there's a DVD inside it of the first episode, so I've got that. Switch time. Yeah, but I've got another thing I've got as well is Care Bears the movie 2. I think it's called. What is it called? It's called A New Generation, and I don't think I've seen this movie at least all the way through, and at least all the way through properly. I may have put it on once when I was drunk or something. I've almost got no memory of it, so it'd be good to watch that later if anybody actually wants a commentary on it. I might actually do it if more than 8 people listen to this commentary. Always quite liked as well though how Tender Heart, and again I don't know if it's just again a happy accident, but like I always think of him as being like the leader of the Care Bears, the Optimus Prime of the Care Bears and things like that. But he's a perfect character, and that's another thing though as well, that like because the new Ghostbusters film's been taking a lot of flack because it's been got quote unquote women in it. But I think the Care Bears, again, is a really funny example because, like when I was saying earlier on, like say I've got pretty broad spectrum of interests in, like say I've got a really out there sense of humour and nothing really offends me. People say anything about my family or anything, I'm not bothered. But like when I was growing up, like say when I went to Savoy see this and it was all I went watching and stuff, and it might be me just being a bit naive, but like I thought, yeah, this was boys or girls could go see this film, and I guess they can. But now, as an adult, if I ever say, oh, I like Care Bears the movie, even though I'm not bothered what people think, I always get that like 5%, 10% doubt that people are like, ooh, Care Bears, you think you are, that kind of thing. And it's kind of like, and if you watch the really early adverts for Care Bears, they have boys and girls on the adverts. But I would say now, in the public perception, if you said to a lot of people, I'm just pulling this statistic out of thin air, but I really think if you said to 100 people, is Care Bears a boy or girl's toy? I think there is Bedtime Bear. I forgot about that when I said sleeping. Oh, there's Cozy Up Penguin. But yeah, if you said to about 100 people, I would say 85% would say it was a girl's toy. And then you think, well, why is that? Why? Like, because surely the most universal toy in the world is a teddy bear. Like, you know, but that's one thing as well. And I don't know if it's the greatest thing or the worst thing ever. But when I went to Toys R Us the other day, I noticed there was Lego Angry Birds the movie toys. Now that's just a load of random words, isn't it? Two together. I did think it was funny though as well, and again, you know, you're kind of more quote unquote biased of what you grew up with, but there how the water was animated, and still to this day, with computers, without computers, and drawing, I still don't know how they draw water or how they draw light. And especially light, how would you draw light? I mean, you know, that's like you see like a rainbow or the Care Bear stare and things like that. But I was watching clips from the newer Care Bears on YouTube, and somebody was saying, oh, they've quote unquote ruined my childhood, like kind of thing, with all the CGI. And it is interesting because even though I like the newer Care Bears, I would say that this just looks so much nicer. Like there where that star just came out and it was lit. Oh, it's like a friendly shuriken, which is a sentence I wasn't expecting to say today. Yeah, but like it just so much sort of, it looks more like, and I can't, cause like I love CGI. I think CGI is really great, and I think okay, wait a bedtime, but that was still obviously, but yeah, that like. I'm one of the few people that like CGI just doesn't bother me at all, unless it's like spectacularly bad. But then, you know, even then, if you see a really bad effect, it always, to me, it's got, you know, because at the end of the day, I always think if somebody criticises a special effect in a film, like say a lot of people like, you know, knock Ed Wood films and things like that, or like old 50s B movies and things. But I think, you know, because everybody's, you know, opinions on stuff, which is fine. But I think if you really are the sort of person, like when I was saying earlier on that, like, there is little moments in this where, like, say, Kim and Jason's dialogue where they just, like, you know, like, almost like prototype goth or something, like, where they're like, yeah, whatever, we haven't got no feelings, see you later. I can't help but, like, raise a smile to it, but not in, like, a kind of, oh, look at that stupid way. Oh, there's good luck power with a little raincoat on. And they've got tails. And that, yeah, so, like, I think sometimes, yeah, you know, you're obviously going to have an opinion on something, you know, because that's just how human beings work, or, you know, anything sentient beings work. But like, I think if you knock an effect or you knock something creative, if you can't get anywhere close to that, and I'm saying people haven't got a right to knock it, but I think if people are really aggressive in, you know, if you just go, oh, I didn't like that bear, or oh, I'd have done that different or something, or oh, I prefer this to that, that's perfectly fine. But when you get these people that are like, oh, look at this, it's stupid and CGI, it's rubbish, and you're proper like nasty with it, I think, well, if you can't recreate that and recreate it with the technology that they had at the time and the budget they had at the time and the time constraints they had at the time, I don't think you've really got any right to say anything, really. One thing as well, like that, they're just trying to fix the rainbow rescue beam, but that's one quite funny thing about Care Bears though, because again, I think if you said to a lot of people about, if you said to a lot of Care Bears, that'd be kind of a cool survey. But if you said to a lot of people about Care Bears, what is something that sort of, would you say the Care Bears have got cool gadgets? And I'm reckoning most people would say no. But when you look at those little cloud cars they fly around on, and like the rainbow rescue beam and stuff, they're actually pretty cool. I like how he could make that little star just appear out of his chest and stuff, and they could say Care Bear there, and like all this, you know, like this laser flies out of him. That's pretty freaking awesome. And the Love Art Nose thing though as well. That's such a, yeah, it's been, yeah, quite ripped off a few times more recently, but that's such a Swift Art Rabbit. What's always fun about that, because when I opened the box to me VHS, there's a little tag for Swift Art Rabbit. So I got my niece Swift Art Rabbit once, and he just vanished. No pun intended. I love the speed lines they draw on Swift Art Rabbit when he just. I was thinking as well, is this? I an anniversary, because my maths is terrible. It's like, is it 1986? Have we just gone past like the 30th anniversary? So there was like the trees from Mortal Kombat or something, but that was funny though as well. When I'm saying about the book's got a really scary voice. But that's one thing, like I was just clicking on people's names on IMDb this morning. Now look at that, it's like that bit in Superman when he runs back to the campfire. But he's just standing there cool by the car. But yeah, I was clicking on different people's names on IMDb, and loads of them had got like posters like for the Dead Zone was on one of them, and Dawn of the Dead was on another. And I was like, it's kind of cool that, like, you know, you get like actors that, like, you know, they've done all these cool things, and I've always loved that when I always feel sorry for actors or directors or writers that get pigeonholed in a certain way, and that person can only do comedy or that person can only do horror and stuff like that. And I do quite like how somebody can be like some of the main characters in this, and then they've done like Dawn of the Dead. It's, maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't that much of a segue after all. It's like there when that boat was just getting in that corner, and like the waves splashing up and things like that. Just the work that goes into that. I mean, even if you've just literally got like that's one thing I noticed as well, Eddie. I don't know what really, like, how sad. This is a weird sentence. How sad is that sail? And that's, like I said before, about, again, it probably comes from such like you know, even if you look at it from a purely marketing perspective, or if you look at it from just a purely creative perspective, it probably comes from quite a natural place. I like that it was just getting around the edge of. I love it. Oh, you know, a raccoon told him where to go because you can see in the dark. Yeah, but that boat has got a sail that has got emotions to it, and then you think, okay, it's a boat made out of clouds, which is like, this just sounds like just new to the Lego Angry Birds the movie toys. It's like a boat made out of clouds with a sail that's alive. It's like, okay, but the genius part to me, the absolute geniusness, is not that the boat controls itself. It's got a wooden steering wheel, and that's just delightful to me. It really is. It's just like, and I'm always surprised that, like, you know, it's like I say, nowadays everything's really like meta, and everyone loves deconstruct things in a really quote unquote intelligent way. And even though I've only done 6 months of film studies and a college dropout and stuff like that, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, but just like, you know, it's just like, and then they made like a love heart out of their like chest emblems that is given the ability to fly. Like, okay, like, it's so brilliant. It's so like saying, that's the thing. What I think is what's a quote unquote shame about this film, that, like, to be fair, I've only had a quick look on Twitter this morning and things like that, but over the years, people who do talk about this film affectionately do seem to watch it quite uncynically, which I guess the message of the film got through, right? But I do think it's funny that, like, you know, it's so sort of unflustered, and if that's even a word, or it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel stupid. It feels so natural that, like, yeah, a boat that's flying, a cloud seaboat that flies. Okay, this reminded me of Last Crusaders, the bit where oh, look at Swift out there, holding Kim. And it's things like this, though. This is say something as well, and I know it's definitely come from watching films like this. But any time where characters defend each other or help each other, or if they have to put something in front of themselves to defend themselves, I find it really hard to watch. Even if it's like animation, or like when RoboCop gets shot in RoboCop, I couldn't watch that for years. It's only 2 of them. One thing about this film as well, and again, you know, it's probably, like I say, stretching the point, because this is a U certificate film, and I am surprised that, because, you know, for quite a long time in the UK we had relatively strict censorship laws, and anything that was like, we've had so many films banned over the years, and only relatively recently they've come out. And again, I think making this a PG would probably, again, over egging it a little bit. But again, a U certificate film like that bird attacking Kim and Jason. Then I keep saying Jason weird, but yeah, it's like, yeah, it's not super terrifying, but it's not. That's one thing I noticed as well. Oh, which is the bird with the two flowers? The bird with the two flowers. The bear with the two flowers on his chest wasn't doing a Care Bear stare. I only noticed it this morning. Maybe he was just in shock. It might be French. It's friendship behind it. Yeah. And I remember Liam Neeson said it about Star Wars. That's the thing I was actually going to mention, that like, because the Star Wars films up until like Revenge of the Sith were always U certificate films, and it always used to make me laugh that like how sort of violent they were, like, arms flying off and Darth Maul being cut in half and things like that. And they were U certificate films, and like I say, it's like this is like a U certificate film, but like again, and there used to be a certificate called UC. Like U and a small C, letter C. It's particularly suitable for children. So I guess it is one step up from the lowest certificate, really. I'll have to check if that UC certificate's still going. But yeah, I remember Liam Neeson saying this in one of the making ofs about the Phantom Menace. It might have been on the Omnibus documentary about it. But saying that like you've got all this amazing. Yeah, this is where you see the cat there. Look at that. Prodart cat. They said Prodart in the looks too. Never noticed that before. Oh no! Come on, that impression games. Oh no! I'll have to master that. I really should stop doing impressions on commentaries. It's terrible. Yeah, but I remember Liam Neeson saying it about the Phantom Menace. I'll get there eventually. You just thought I said Liam Neeson 5 times. What was it 3? Who's counting? But yeah, saying about Star Wars, the fact that like, oh, that's funny there, you can see Swift-Heart Rabbit's ears behind the elephant there. That he's doing the ears there joke. But yeah, Star Wars. When you watch Star Wars, that like you got these like land speeders and lightsabers and things like that. But they very rarely sort of make a big deal of it. Just like, oh, lightsaber, and it's like a bit like with there when that boat pulled up and they made a rainbow bridge just for walk onto the shore, and you're like, again, it's like, okay, rainbow bridge, yeah, fine. I wonder though, like say when I say about like Good Luck Bear being, as far as I think there's I think Wish Bear might be a very, is turquoise the right colour? I don't think I see turquoise today, but like almost a green bear. But like their Tender Heart's the only like brown bear. Is he like, you can't like, because he's so distinctive maybe that maybe they can only pull certain colours up for because I guess you really, how many colours is there? 16 million or something? This is that dialogue here though, like, everybody must be taught a lesson. That is really, really out there. I mean, like say again, I like say, I'm not saying who should be banned or anything like that, but like, I think it's a lot more intense than people give it credit for. Like, I think nowadays they might back away from something like that, just very slightly. I feel like it's so like unpatronising that like they were like, yeah, we put this in a kids film. I noticed this as well, and this just reminded me of something like something with Batman games there where it says Tunnel of Hate. I mean that's pretty. Again, if you saw that in a horror film, I thought it was like in the new Batman film or something, or it was in Suicide Squad or something like that. They'd be like, oh, isn't that a great visual? Like, it's, oh. Gentle Like Lamb sounds like the ghost of Christmas Present from Scrooge. Oh, they all blink at the same time. I'd have lost that key by now. My mobile phone flew out of my pocket the other day, and just by some amazing fluke I noticed it. That kid's been to another dimension, didn't lose the key. When does he lose it later on? Oh. I've got that same haircut as that kid. Oh, I have to go get my haircut later. No. And yeah, I noticed this earlier on, but I love how like how they sort of sit together and stand together, like they lean in over each other and things like that. And as well, it kind of reminds me of the Man with the Golden Gun a little bit. There's a bit at the start, at the end of that film, where Scaramanga, the main bad guy, has got like a test range kind of thinking. Things move around in stairs, turn into slides and things like that. It just reminds me of that. And again, anybody who's listened to more than 2 of these commentaries, which feel sorry for those guys. But it's always been my thing about like a lot of like the modern superhero movies. There's like you get the odd variant here and there, but as a cigar. But you would find a new kids film where they mention the word cigar. Yeah, that's yeah, and a lot of these newer superhero movies is that sort of they really ratchet down like the level of colour you can have in a film. Like nobody wears like bright coloured costumes, or very very rarely. They're always like muted or distressed in some way. And I love in this just though all the main characters are like these bright primary colours just bombing around. Look at that, pink, orange, blue and purple all in one scene. And as well, this ending though, like when I was watching it, I actually find myself like doing a real distinct swallow. I felt myself like going like, I started seeing it and I wasn't like sweating or anything, but like I was like, this ending's pretty for what it is. You know, it's not like, you know, Reservoir Dogs or something, but considering it's, you know, Care Bears movie. The Care Bears movie, because it seems weird saying that. I'm so used to seeing Care Bears in the movie. It's like, yeah, it'd be good to do a comparison between that and Man with the Golden Gun. Oh, it's teamwork. I loved how Swift out though, and I actually kind of never noticed it before. It's actually like a really good character trait that like he's like a little bit cocky like. I love that blur of the wheel going round. It's a neat touch. Oh, they use his trunk. It's interesting as well, comparing the 2 boxes. Like I've got the VHS box, and I've got the DVD box, and they're actually quite different. Like for some reason, they've used CGI bears on the new one, and they on the DVD box. And they've left Kim and Jason off, and they're like main characters. And it says it, delightful joy, a favourite for tots. It says where the quote's from on the DVD, but not on the VHS. But never mind. It's got the G certificate on the DVD, the Irish certificate, generally fit for viewing by persons generally. Actually, I've just thought this 25th anniversary Care Bear is the only Care Bear that's not got like a distinct. Was it maybe Tender Heart Bear? It's Tender Heart Bear after he's been silverized. This extraordinary Care Bear and rare DVD will be treasured by kids and collectors alike. Love that drawing, that horse there on that carousel. Oh, he's playing around the pool. Even there, that's such like a neat it's a neat little touch. But like the animation involved there, but like animating a vertically descending 360-degree Care Bear. A vertically descending Care Bear. It's my password. It's not. But it'd be a way better password than the password that I've got for most of my things. Braveheart Lion always reminds you of somebody. I can never think who's like a John Goodman type voice. They were too many shorts. I mean, that really is, to me, like, that's like, I really do think this is a really, and I was watching a program about editing one for watching a featurette on YouTube. I think Every Frame's a Painting was the YouTube channel. And it was thinking about knowing where to edit and what makes a good edit, and saying a lot of it's instinctual and things like that. But like that seeing the carrying meter drop and the sound, like the powering down sound and the lightning and the shaking of the cameras and stuff, and just sort of how much power you can put in like one or two shots of and like sometimes the time each shot is, sometimes it was a little bit longer or a little bit slower, like the different emotions it can create. They're still going. But that's another thing though as well, and I must have said this on some of the other commentaries, but once you know about Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, it's amazing how many of these films are like exactly the same. And I don't know, I meant to mention it earlier, but I've already mentioned it on my Inside Out commentary anyway. But when I was watching Inside Out, I couldn't get over it. I don't get on Pixar are amazing, and it might just be me because I'm crazy and I always see patterns in things that aren't there. But this just proper reminded me of that Inside Out. It's like you've got like a world being destroyed and you've got the characters with their primary colours, and it's like, wow. So much fun. I just look at the time. The time is 10 minutes past 6 minutes past 10, and it's nearly 6516666 on the temperature as well. So I've got the patterns and things that aren't there. Yeah, that scene there, that's pretty weird. Still saving? Just a road aid said on that tent then. They beamed in. Oh, needed a bit of luck. But what again? It's like saying it was accident or purpose, but the way like Grumpy Bear and God Luck Bear's raincoats, it got the symbol on still. That's a great touch. And this bit here as well, when the Care Bear cousins figure out like what to do. A pretzel. sour cream and chive pretzel, and the packet's got green on it. I just got shot there with the Care Bear standing behind Kevin Jason. Oh. We Were Like You 2 hours ago. Just kind of reminds me of that scene from in the Family Guy Blue Harvest when Chris Griffin's having to go at like Peter Griffin as Luke and Han, saying, "Oh, that thing you only believed in 2 hours ago." But I think that's good though sometimes though, where I think you'll get certain fandoms for certain things that literally can't take a joke or not see the funny side in things, but some things are a little bit silly, and some things don't make sense, and I think there's a real difference though between really ripping something apart just for the sake of it and sort of still going, oh, it's still a bit funny, like oh, it says "when" behind him as well, I never noticed that, like that's such a stretch, like oh, he made a key appear, it's like it's a cheat really, but of all the chances they took this film, I think you can let them off for that. Oh. And they're like little touches of like how his cape just fell down, like just drifted on the wind and stuff, and just like, to me that's like, animating that must be so, I guess it is just like individual frames, obviously, so that's how animation works, but so if you can draw one drawing, you can draw another one, you can draw another one, but just the level of beauty to it. What's that? That bit there made me laugh when I watched it this morning, and like I say, it's not like because it's a silly line, it's just so sweet, and like it says green painted there on the. But at least with things like this as well, though, where again, depending on who you watch it with, could watch this and be like, really sort of taking this on part. But the best way to be a friend is to be a friend yourself, and they thought that's quite sweet. And there's a load of these things though now where there are these little picture frames where you can put a picture of your family in it. And this, like I say, I can watch something like this and get real enjoyment out of it and think, oh, that's really sweet sentiment. But then sometimes you get some of these modern picture frames where, again, I think they try, quote unquote, a little bit too hard, and you're like, without emotion, your family is the one that will take you to a higher place. And you're like, what does that even mean? Like, you know, I just stumble on really terrible ones, but they're always like, if your family is there, you can conquer the world in your dreams. You know, it's just like, oh, okay. I love how Grumpy, like, again, Grumpy Bear just is such the perfect sort of, like, you know, it's like anti-comic relief. Oh, they've got their symbols. I really like the bit as well when you see him, he walks off to one side and has a little dance to himself. Still good in him. And it's like this though as well, like this scene here, that like a lot of people seem to hate this in movies, but don't like scenes that like are there for no real reason. But if you think, if this film had ended 5 minutes ago, it would like, okay, but like look at all the extra time and effort that went into this, like for like just like a karaoke part and like, you know, just like a party ending, like, you know, follow the bouncing heart, which is gotta admit is a sentence wasn't expecting to say. I don't know if it's or not, but I could put a link to it in the thingy below. There's an amazing about Care Bear songs, an amazing song where it's a let's make a rainbow, dun, 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 all that matters is that you try. Like it's one of the catchiest things you'll ever hear. I must have mentioned that earlier in the commentary. Oh, look at Grumpy Bear dancing. Big Joe, world's biggest man. I've never noticed that before. I watched this morning. Love it there though. Again, that, you know, not a cynical point of view, but that, you know, you never notice as a kid like that. None of those people were animated at all. Like, you know, it's just like, oh, move the camera, nobody will know. I was thinking that as well. I'm sure it must have done. Seen a magician in real life get a bird and turn it into a deck of cards. Seems like such an obvious magic trick when you do. I think I've seen people be sawn in half and met the Statue of Liberty disappear and things like that. But it's like there though, and again, you don't want to be like cynical, but like there where the Kim and Jason's new parents, the dad had a mustache. To me, that's like the most unbelievable thing about this film. Oh, the battery's on 10%. Oh God, don't cry on a commentary. How sweet is that? Just care for me. And this is a bit though as well that like, because it's like, is he telling that story that it was fake, but it was real? And again, it's just an extra little dimension that like, you know, you think, oh, it's this story, you know, it's like a bedtime story that was real, and they are real, and it's like, you know, it's like, oh, I've gone completely cross-eyed. There you go. Cast Mickey Rooney as the voice of Mr. Cherrywood. That's funny. My crew member is Mike Fallows, and he has done a lot of animation. That's not what I'm just going to say. I'm going to say a bit more than that. Rupert, TV series animation director, 13 episodes, 1992. Bonkers, overseas animation supervisor, 10 episodes, timing director. Goof Troop, 1992. Darkwing Duck, 1991. Midnight Patrol, Adventures in the Dream Zone. Adventures of Don Quixote and Sancho Panda. Timeless Tales from Hallmark. Muppet Babies. Rude Dog and the Dweebs. Bar, the movie. Little Clowns of Happy Town. What's that joke about? Do you like, what's that joke about? Elephant Books. So Steve Martin joke. I'll come back to that. Little Clowns of Happy Town. Fraggle Rock. The Great Heap, My Little Pony, the movie. Don't think I've ever seen that one. George and the... I saw this when we say Care Bears the movie's loads better compared to My Little Pony the movie. George and the Christmas Star, Droids, the Care Bears the movie. The Care Bears movie. Care Bears, the Care Bears movie. Strawberry Shortcake meets the Berrykins. Strawberry Shortcake and the Baby Without a Name. Rock and Roll, Heidi's Song, and Take Me Up to the Ball Game, 1980, assistant animator. Oh, director, 11 credits. Oh, 2000. Oh, Baba, Bit Baba, and the Adventures of Badoo. Oh, well, so. Oh, Care Bears Big Wish movie. 2002, 2005 shows, doesn't it? Oh, well, that's pretty cool. Santa Claus Brothers, Donkey Kong Country, Never Ending Story TV series. Oh well, that's Summit as well. I watched that. I love how Never Ending Story actually never ended. It just carried on. Sunday Pants producer. Oh. Your battery is very low, 7%. How far have we got? Let's switch the joypad back on. Oh, we've only got 1 minute 30 seconds. But don't worry everybody, Optimus Prime, the greatest of all Autobots, will return.